Welcome to Coily Crowns. I'm Ashante.
And I'm Lori, and welcome to our Queendom. Hi, how y'all doing?
What's up?
So today we're going to have our segment that we started a couple weeks ago, Bring Them to the Throne. We're going to start there. We have 3 topics that we just want to talk about how we feel about it and, highlight it a bit. So we're going to start off with this monumental case that happened over the last month. And it's the trial of Derek Chauvin, the police officer that murdered George Floyd. And we are happy to say that finally, we have a guilty verdict for something that has been obvious to us forever, that he should have been found guilty. There was lots of evidence to prove that he was guilty. And we just hope that this is the catalyst to start a process of holding officers accountable for using unjustifiable force in policing our neighborhoods. So I'm happy that the jurors got it right. I'm happy that they prosecuted him and they didn't try to sweep this under the rug. I feel like there's still a lot more work to go because, of course, since that time, we already have other instances that have happened. So I don't know. I don't want to go down that murky road. I'm just trying to have a little mini celebration that finally he has been found guilty and that the family have something to kind of say they have some justice for losing their loved one. So just wanted to bring that up.
Okay, so that's kind of like a 2-for-1, right? So he comes, we banish him to jail, and then we can bring the jurors and commend them for doing the right thing, being taking in the facts, looking at the facts and seeing, like they said, believe what your eyes were seeing, because his defense attorneys doing their job but trying to put in that little reasonable doubt, but they didn't fall for it. So thank you to those jurors who served on that and the decision that they're made.
Yeah, so now we're just waiting on the sentencing. I hope that will also be commensurate with the pain that the family's going to have to suffer for the rest of their lives. So I hope it's not no foolishness.
Mm-hmm.
So we're waiting on that.
Okay.
All right, so that was number 1. Number 2, I just want to say Jeopardy. Now, I watch Jeopardy. I know I'm old. I watch Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy, okay? And my little girl loves it. Loves the music. She be answering questions. Don't know what she be saying. But she be answering questions, okay? And, Alex Trebek passed away last year. So they've been doing guest hosts this whole time. Now one guest host Black or Asian. No
diversity.
People of color. I mean, there's women. There have been 2 women guest hosts, but no Black ones, no Asian ones, no nothing. And so finally, I guess Twitter was just like, hey, what about Levar Burton? Okay, let's get some color up in there.
Yeah, I heard they had to start a whole petition or something.
Why though? They've had guest hosts since January. It's April, almost May. So they couldn't have had not one. The guest hosts are only there for 2 weeks. So y'all couldn't find nobody else. So finally they'll have somebody on there. So looking forward to that. Just seeing something different. We don't have to see the same old on TV every day.
Right.
So happy about that. Looking forward to that. So that's my second topic, Bring It to the Throne. And then, Ashante, would you like to tell us about that last topic? Since you sent me this story.
Oh, Lord.
Foolishness.
So I saw the story on Good Morning America this past.
You saw it on Good Morning America?
Yes, that's how I heard about it. Yes. So down there in Lori's neck of the woods, South Florida.
It's right there. It's like the next city over.
Oh, really?
When I read the story, I was like, what in the world? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So apparently, how GMA advertised the story, I was confused. They were like, a couple crashed their own wedding. And I was like, huh? Like, it didn't make sense. So the story is there's this couple, and they wanted to get married at this mansion, this big mansion who is currently owned by a guy who owns the IHOP, I believe, and it's for sale. So the fiance, the guy, he went as a potential buyer to look at the house. He liked it and whatever, and then later went back and contacted the owner and asked if he could use the house to host the wedding and everything, and they told him no. Well, he said, bump you, I'm doing this because God told me this is where we're getting married. So they went forth with printing out wedding invitations with the address to this house, had scheduled a whole wedding one day and then a brunch the next day.
A brunch the next day in a place that you're not even allowed to be on the property.
Listen, I mean, audacity. A whole red carpet wedding, like it was this big event. They have planned. They have planned this
with vendors.
If you've planned a wedding or been a part of a wedding, you know this stuff takes some time
and money.
And money, right? So you have your vendors you need to notify, let them know where it's happening, your guests, all this stuff. And they show up on the wedding day and the owner is there. They didn't know the man was living. He had another little property on the property and was staying there. He don't call the police. So these people here talking about they're supposed to get married and God told them they're getting married here, and child. So
I just can't even think what in your brain makes you believe just because you saw a house and you think it's empty that you can just set up an entire wedding. It's not even like it's just you and your bride and maybe the officiant trying to sneak on a property to get married. You actually plan an entire wedding and brunch after event at this man's property and have the audacity to say it was ordained by God. Get out of here.
Listen, that man is lucky that he alive right now, because as we just started this story, things don't tend to go well when the police are called upon us.
So it's not in that city too, let me tell you.
Listen, he is lucky. He left. And so because he left, he did not get arrested, no trespassing warrant, nothing happened. Nothing. So thankfully that happened, and but it could have totally went the other way. And we see this happen all the time. So, sir, that was God looking out for you. God didn't ordain that wedding, but he sure was looking out after you that day. So I forgot to get the couple name, but y'all
don't need their names.
You had to bring y'all to the throne because ridiculous. What city is it? They just said outside Fort Lauderdale. So I didn't know.
It was in Southwest Ranches.
Okay, I never heard of it.
It's kind of right next to Davie. And
I heard about Davie. Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's basically 2.0 right there. Just saying. So I was just like, what is right there? But let me go drive by this mansion. They didn't put the address of the house because I would have drove by there because that's on my way to work. I was like, let me see.
I'm like, it's a whole fenced-in, gated community.
They was at the gate trying to get it.
Like, did he schedule another potential to look at the house again or something? Like, it's just
no, that was the wedding day.
Wait, to go look at the house?
No. The day that the police got called on, that was the wedding day.
Oh, I know. I'm saying like for the wedding. So previously he went to go look at the house. Mm-hmm. It's a gated community. So I'm thinking, how did he even think he was going to make it through the gate to the house on wedding day?
I thought he was already on his property. It's a gated property. I don't think it's a gated community.
So how he still was going to make it and have all the guests make it through the gate? That's my whole point.
I don't know. I don't know if maybe he saw them trying to bust in or something. Because it's not like it's a gated community with a person at the gate. I think it's the property is fully gated. So he maybe thought he could like break the gate and go in. And maybe the guy saw him at the gate. Because when I read the story, it says he called the police and told the police that the people were at his gate trying to get in. So to me, trying to get in is like you trying to bust through this gate because you think nobody's there.
But yeah, so that was okay. I was thought it was a gated community. Either way, I'm like, how did you think you were going to make it through a gate
But if
into this
it's
property?
yeah, but if it's a property and you think it's vacant, you could get in. If it's a gated community, you're not gonna get in because there's other people there. But if you're thinking, because the houses are kind of far apart, it's not like your neighbor's gonna be across the street. Like, what are you doing?
Oh,
They're more. It's Southwest Ranches is like a mansion. It's bigger houses, bigger land, whatever. So he probably thought he was just gonna go up to the gate and finagle
with
his
some
way.
like bolt coat cutters and cut the.
Hey,
Oh,
we gonna have this wedding. So, we gotta get this thing rolling. Just a mess. I just don't understand.
listen, I saw that story. I said, wait, what? Come on
Uh,
now, make it make sense. What?
it
Okay, so
don't make
those are our
sense.
three topics for bringing them to the throne. So we're gonna now transition to what would the queens do?
What would the queens do?
Yeah, so we have a couple stories that made headlines over the last few weeks, and
Mm-hmm.
we're going to give our opinion on what we would do if we were in those situations. So, Lori,
First one's first. It's not just one story. This has been happening in a lot of places. And I've realized mostly in like Catholic schools that the dress code or student conduct code is a little discriminatory in nature,
mm,
where little Black kids are being discriminated against with regards to their hair. So I kind of just wanted to bring up this topic that these kids are being sent home either because they have braid styles or their hair is out in an afro or it has like color in it. And these like code of conduct books are written where you can't have braids or it has to be in a neat style or in things that are more synonymous with white kids' hairstyles. And that because it's different or because white kids don't do this, then it's distracting to the other kids in the class or to the teacher and is not appropriate for school.
mm.
So I kind of just wanted to bring up, if your daughter or son, let's say toddler age, like maybe 5, 6, was sent home from school because of their hair, what would you do?
I'm going back up to that school.
In rollers and
No, I don't roll like that. But we gonna definitely have to have a come to Jesus moment and talk about what's the issue, like what is the root of this issue. I find it just hard to believe that today in this age day and time that we're still dealing with this. Like I've wore braids to school and I haven't gone to no Catholic school or anything like that, but since I don't know, as a kid. And even with Catholic schools, I know I've heard there's still a good number of Black people who have gone to Catholic schools. So
oh
to
yeah,
me, it's
a
like it's
lot of
not
a lot of Black people.
right. So it's not like this is something new. So I'm
Mhm.
like, well, what happened back then? Are you telling me those kids never came in braids? They never came with Afro puffs or whatever. So
Mhm.
I I just find it hard to believe that now all of a sudden this becomes an issue. And if it is, and also right now with all this racial awakening that we're going through, reckoning that we're going through, I think most places need to really look at their policies, their code of
Mhm.
conduct, and like you
Yep.
said, look, are they discriminatory? How
Yeah.
do we need to update them? Because I think there was a story a while back in Texas where a high school student wasn't going to be able to graduate, attend prom or graduate, one or the other, because of his hair. And then he had dreadlocks. And I'm like,
You went to school that whole time and then you can't do that?
yeah, it was like,
Dreadlocks don't just come up. I get braids because braids can come in and go. But dreads.
and his dress were like long. So you telling me all this time he's been the top of his class? If it was the graduation, because I think it was the graduation, he wouldn't have been able to speak.
Ridiculous.
And you never told him that, ooh, this is our. And then when they did refer to the code of conduct, they was talking about something that was written back in like the 1950s or 60s that hadn't been updated in God knows how long. You know, you do the math. But it's just like we definitely need to have a. I would, back to answer your question, I'll be up there at the school having a meeting, at the PTA, whatever. We're gonna have to discuss and talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. What about you?
Yes, I would definitely want to talk to the school, but I feel like this is a bigger problem, like what you're saying about updating policies, because even I think a couple years ago, the military started this campaign against what styles a Black woman can have in the military,
Right.
and people had to cut off their dreads who've been in the military their entire career, 20 years, and they've had like sister locks or they've had dreads, but they've always had to pull it back because that's the military code of for what they call it, appearance or whatever. But they had to kind of pull it back, and now they were like, no, you can't have this style at all. And I'm like, what does this have to do with being compliant in doing my job
and being able to serve? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what how does that happen? And when you're in the military, you're at that point, that's your career. What are you going to do? You going to protest the government? I mean, we should, but you don't want to lose your job. If you've been in it that long, you don't want to lose your pension. You don't want to have to fight that fight when you're probably this much of the military. Like, do you have a voice? So it's like stuff like that where it's top down, and most of these rules are written, I think, are private schools because they can do whatever they want to do. They can write up certain parameters. And I understand if you put your kid in private school, you have to follow the rules. But if the rules are discriminatory, I shouldn't have to follow that. You should have to change that. So I think that's where I would start too, is finding out what policy has been enacted. Have I been given a copy of that policy? And then start working my way through, like what you're saying, principal, school board, PTA, whoever we need to discuss this with, because most likely I'm probably going to be pulling her out of that class, because it depends on who's sending them home. If it's a problem with the teacher, I don't want that teacher teaching my kid anymore. Because if you're going to send home my kid because of a hairstyle, we got other stuff to talk about. That means you can't teach my child. You already discriminating against my child, so you can't teach them. If it's a school thing, then we can't go to that school anymore, because you already don't learn enough about Black history and how we have influenced this world or this country. So I'm also going to take this foolishness? Absolutely not. Especially if I'm paying you.
Oh,
absolutely.
You know you paying if it's private. Yes. I'm not going to be sending my child, paying for them to go to school to be discriminated against. And then just to touch back on what you said, sometimes they say it's distracting, right? That the hair. And I'm like, I need more information. Why is little Johnny and Susie distracted? Why are they like, that's on them. You need to be working on them and figure out why they're distracted and worried about my child. Now I can understand, you know, our hair can be voluminous. You know, if it's a child that it has a big afro or something, and it could potentially be blocking, say if they're in the front or something, someone's visual to the chalkboard or something. Okay, talk to me, tell me about that, and we can.
No, don't talk to me about that.
No,
you are a teacher. You figure it out. If you feel like there's hair blocking, switch the seats around. Diagonal, switch things up. Don't call me about some foolishness like that, because I'm not changing her hair.
Okay, see, okay, so we might differ here. I would be willing to at least don't send my child home and call me, send a letter and just say, you know, something, and maybe we can work on a style that can prevent that, or find out of seating arrangements that changes that. Because don't be moving my child to the back just because you can move things like that.
You can be creative in order for that. I don't feel like I need to be called about my daughter's or son's hairstyle because of something that they have day one, day two, day every day, or not any day. You need to figure it out. Don't call me. You call me, it's gonna be a fight.
She said it's gonna be a fight. Okay. So we differ a little bit there, I think. But overall, if it's definitely it don't no suspension, no, and you definitely bet not be putting your hand and cutting somebody's hair because there's stories of where they have cut the child's hair. Oh, yeah, Lord, go get my bail money. Like that's where we definitely will have some serious issues.
Yeah, no. No, I don't want no, don't tell me unless it's about their schoolwork or they got in a fight or something that's like real sick. Don't call me for that. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear it. You figure out everything else you need to figure out. I don't want to hear it. Sorry. Maybe you shouldn't have your classroom in set in diagonal rows. Maybe you need to category them or switch them up. Figure it out.
Okay. All right. Are we still on that one? Anything else?
Nope, I'm good. That's
okay.
it. So next story, lighten it up a little bit. So this lady in Louisiana was, I think she got fired or she quit her job. And she was like a real estate broker or something like that. And when she got fired or quit, they owed her like her last check. So her check was supposed to be $82. These people then deposited $1.2 million in this lady's account.
Woo, what? That's a lot of overtime.
This lady got that 1.2. The next day, moved it to another account. Okay. And it proceeded to buy a house and a car, I think within a week. And the company was trying to call her. They tried to recall it, but there was no money left in the account. They tried to call her. They emailed her. They were trying to get in touch with her to tell her that it was sent to her in error. This lady, I believe,
she moved fast.
She saw that money and she thanked God and was just like, hallelujah, I will get my house.
I sent me this money.
So what would you do if you just opened up your bank account one day and just saw, just say $1 million in there? What would you do that you didn't expect? You didn't know where it came from. You just saw $1 million in your bank account. What would you do?
Listen, I'm gonna be that person. I'm gonna be calling the bank trying to figure out how this money get here. My conscience just would not allow me to do the things that she did.
Mm-mm.
Now, after some time, and I've called and I felt like I've done my portion, then yeah, I would say
that money,
thank you, Jesus, and go ahead and
what's that time? What? How much? 30 days? 60 days?
At 30 days at a minimum. I mean, I think if there's some kind of like, if I've notified my bank and like, what is this? And they're like, oh, we need to research to figure out where, I think they should be able to figure that out pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. But I say at least maybe a month, 30 days. And then after that, I would be like, oh, okay. So just moving a little bit at a time.
You still got a trail. What's moving that little bit of time gonna do?
I don't know, girl. I'm be spending. I don't know, but after about 30 days, then I'm gonna be like, listen, I reported it. I tried to figure out what it was. After that, I'm gonna just say thank you, Jesus. He must have wanted me to have this. And
what is this? The statute of limitations have run out. Listen, you should have claimed your money back within 30 days.
You didn't find your error back then? Oh, you got insurance. You better go and put an insurance claim in or something.
Oh Lord!
But my conscience would not allow me to move as quickly as she did. The next I saw that
day.
No,
and then she ended up getting arrested.
See, and that's part
because you're dumb behind. Why are you gonna stay in the same place? You still live in the same place. My name would have been changed. I would have been on somebody's island. You wouldn't have found me.
Gone.
If I'm gonna steal it, you know.
Are you gonna be looking on that list like, okay, what's those countries that they can't extradite you back in?
Hello. Yeah. Make sure you can live. Make sure you just go ahead and buy your little spot. Make sure you got enough money to live. because change your name, don't come back. You can't live in the same area and just be like, oh, okay, you gave me
Yeah.
money. Oh, hilarious. So for me, um, I probably would take a couple days or weeks to find out that that money's in there because I don't be checking my bank account.
Oh, that's nice. You got it like that. You ain't got to be
No,
thinking like that.
no, I just know what I can spend. That's it. This is it. I pay my bills, and then this is all I can spend. It's my monthly allowance to myself. So I probably wouldn't even notice right away. So then I'll be like, oh my God, there's money here. Then I'll be like, oh, okay, let me see what the bank is saying. Where's the detail? I would call back. I'm not spending anything because those people, whoever gave it to me, is going to come back. And then they're going to want their money back with interest. And I'm not going to have it to give to them. So I don't think I could spend it unless, like I said, I have a whole plan put together where I'm not coming back. Now you put like 10 million in my account, you're not gonna find me no more. Cause I could live off of 10 mil. I'm gonna be out the country, but you're not gonna see me no more. Just like what you said, I'm gonna research what countries I can get away with. I'm gonna have my own little compound, and you not gonna see me no more. Gonna have to WhatsApp me. So hopefully, I don't know how. I guess they'll sell the house and stuff, but I don't know how they're ever going to get
Get that
most of that
money back.
money
Yeah.
back. They're going to lose money on that. So, last topic that we have on what would the queens do is that huge story between Sharon Osbourne and Cheryl Underwood on the talk, and their whole issue about discussing Pierce Morgan, which is the weirdest thing to have a fight over, on if he was basically a little racist when he was referring to Meghan Markle and the whole situation with them separating from the family or the royal family.
Wow.
So, and him walking off of his show, quitting, and they had a little spat about him and, how, he seemed a little racist, and Sharon was like taking up for him because that's his friend, and how she didn't think he's racist, and basically squashing anything that Cheryl Underwood wanted to say, and basically jumping on her for having emotion about it because she was defending her friend. And so I kind of wanted to bring it up, not just for that specific question, but have you been in a situation where you were discussing something at your job? Because this is what this is for Cheryl and Sharon, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're at your job. So it's not like a friend situation, or you're at home. So there's a level of decorum that you have to have when having a discussion. You can't just be like, whatever. So sometimes I think that has to play with it. So I kind of wanted to use the example of you're at work, you have a difference of opinion on something that you feel has racial undertones. So it's, you're dealing with a person that's white, you're black, and you're having a discussion about something that you have a different take on it. And that other person is basically telling you that you shouldn't feel that way because, basically the other person knows better. So what would you do in a situation like that?
I'm not a
Confrontational.
confrontational person.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably would really just remove myself from the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the difference being they are on a talk show and they, that's their job to talk about that. So Cheryl, really couldn't just leave the situation.
I mean, she
right?
could if she wanted to, but
Of course,
she wanted to address it, but then she was also feeling like she was personally being attacked. So I think that's
right.
why she ended up crying and kind of just
Oh, you
saying
talking about Sharon?
Cheryl Underwood.
Oh, she started crying on the show?
Yeah, and that's why Sharon told her to stop crying. Stop crying. You can't cry about this.
Oh, I thought she was just like telling her she can't cry. I didn't know she had started crying. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So in my job, if that discussion was happening and it got there, I would just remove myself from the situation. I That's the only I can think of, unless it started really becoming very heated, like that person was all in my face, then that changes things. But if it's just like a conversation like this, and I'm just gonna look at you like Sharon, like, why are you feeling so defensive? Like, you know, white guilt? What's going on? Because in that story, from what I heard, the first thing Cheryl said was like, I don't think you're a racist. But then all of a sudden, Sharon took all of that on and like, I'm not a racist and going through all that. And what we know, usually what happens when people start saying all of that, there's something there.
Right.
There's obviously some bias there. We all have some biases, but there's something there. So my situation, if I'm at work and that happens, I most likely am going to remove myself from the situation because I am at work. I need my job. If I don't need my job, you know, because I just got $1 million deposited in my bank account, then that's a different story. But
I need that job if I got $1 million. I need 10 minimum, tax free. Okay, sorry.
So yeah, so that's based on this situation. Now, of course, lots of different variables. Start adding some variables to it, then you know the situation changes.
Yeah.
But I'm not confrontational. I would not like make a scene or anything. I'm just gonna remove myself, and the relationship with that person, which usually at work is already just, you know, very surfacey. We're at work. I just probably would avoid you and absolutely have to talk to you or something.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of the same way. I am confrontational, but I could be different, I guess, depending on the situation. And if I think it would also depend on if the topic is really that important. If it's like something like about someone else, which is what this was. That's why I thought it was so weird that it got to that place, because it was, well, I guess it was her friend. So I guess that's different. But like if I'm talking about a situation that will have nothing to do with me, then I can have a civil conversation with you. I can tell you how I feel. I can tell you that what you're saying is not correct, but I'm not going to have a full argument with you. I would do the same thing like what you would do, like just be like, you know what, we don't need to talk about this anymore because it's not going anywhere. But I'm a type of person that likes to get my point across, whether you like it or not. I'm gonna tell you how I feel about it, and if we're gonna keep, I'm not gonna keep doing this stuff. We're not gonna just do it, you know, because I'll realize, okay, we're not gonna get anywhere. But I'm just gonna be like, okay. And now forever, you're gonna have that stigma of this is the lady or man that feels this way. So now we can't have no other connection past that. It's gonna be yes, okay, no.
So I had this situation where it's not related, but just tell you the situation. And it did frame how I worked with this person. And I didn't even work with them a lot, but it's just kind of like I saw them in a totally different way afterwards. Mm-hmm. So it's I say older white male, because he probably was like in his 60s or something, you know. And my boss and I, he was a Black woman, we had went to lunch and we were walking out of the building where we went to get lunch, and he stopped. And I had sent him an email about something, like maybe the day before, 2 days before, or something. And it was something that was kind of urgent and needed his response. And when we addressed him, he stopped and he never acknowledged me and was talking to Audrey. And then Audrey was kind of like, oh, Shante, didn't you have a well, I didn't mean to say my boss name, but my boss Audrey. So she was like, oh, Shante, didn't you have something to say, or you sent an email? And so I started talking, and the man he kind of glanced at me like, oh, somebody else is here, and quickly went right back to talking to her. Like I never existed, didn't respond back to me or nothing like that. And this was me. I remember this because he's like standing there, and I'm like, do you not see me and not talk to me? And then I just was like, I walked off and I left her talking to him. And I was just like, I can't believe that just happened to me. Like this man just like, I did not exist, did not acknowledge me at all, and trying to converse with him about a work matter. And
Yeah,
after that,
that's another topic that we'll bring up next time, is basically some people having like I don't know what you call that, where they see you at a certain point, like as a title,
mm,
like
understandable.
basically
Like she was his on his level, I was below, so he's not going to deal with me. He's going to talk to her. Yeah, and when we talked about it, we decided we didn't think it was a race thing because he had no problem talking with her, but we
Mhm.
do think that it was kind of like this. Oh, she's below. Why is she talking and
Yeah.
addressing me? And it just was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it just says something about, because I work with a lot of physicians, and you could just tell the relationship between physician or physician and leader is totally different than, physicians sometimes, and even the cleaning people. I think about, like, why do you feel like you have to treat somebody different that's in a different position than you? I don't
Mm-hmm.
really get that. But I get, if you're friends with people, then of course you're going to have a more open relationship with that person. But you can just tell that it's more like, I'm ignoring you. You're not even in my sphere. You're not in my level. I don't need to talk to you. I don't need to respond to you. I don't need to answer to you. And it's like, where you come from? So yeah, well, that's another topic I think I'll jot down and we'll have a full discussion on. But that was my last what would the queens do topic. Now we're gonna go on to our favorite segment called the Queen of the Week. Come on, Ashante.
Oh yeah, girl, I wasn't ready. I was still on the other topic.
Oh, did you
Okay.
want to say more? Sorry.
No. I
Okay.
just, had to go get the story, so I'm ready to talk about it. Okay, so our queen of the week, she is a young queen at the age of 11. Her name is Carly, and she's located in the UK. She recently made history after becoming the first person in the UK to donate her natural afro hair to the Princess Trust charity. So the Princess Trust charity makes wigs for children who have lost their hair, due to illness or some sort. So she had tried to donate her hair previously, and the Princess Trust told her that they couldn't accept her hair because let me get the right information. So,
It breaks
well,
easily.
unfortunately, the techniques and instruments used mean that the hair is more prone to breaking due to the different structure of the hair. So eventually, a 120-year-old wig making company in London teamed up with a woman named Cynthia. Oh no, a woman named Cynthia Stroud and a 120-year-old wig making company in London teamed up, and they developed a new technique to weave the natural hair into a wig. So, because of this young queen, now more people with Afro textured hair will be able to donate their hair, and wigs can be made for children who naturally have Afro textured hair so they can wear for themselves. So,
This is awesome. Like, I never even thought about it, because that wasn't something that I ever thought of doing. Because I always saw, like, growing up, it was, white people that donated their hair because, that's what they did. But you're not thinking, okay, there's black people that lose their hair because of whatever
mhm,
reason. And I've never heard of us donating hair, or anyone I knew to
I
donate hair.
okay, I remember seeing a story. I don't know how long ago it was, but there was a young black girl. She had grown her hair, it's like almost waist length or something,
Mhm.
and they cut it to donate it. So when I saw that, I just naturally thought, okay, yeah, they've been doing that. They have wigs for natural
Yeah.
hair and things. So to see that the UK, they hadn't come up with the techniques yet,
Mhm.
it's kind of like, but the UK don't have any racial issues, huh? Anyway, so yes, that was nice to see. Congratulations, Carly, on being our queen of the week.
Yay.
And we thank you for your donating hair. And I assume that you will be growing more hair out to donate in the future.
So nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Kylie.
All right. So that is this Wednesday's episode of the Coily Crowns. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, like, share, and hit the notification button so that you can get emails and notifications of when we release our videos. Tonight, Married at First Sight comes on. So watch if you're watching with us. Saturdays we do our Married at First Sight recap. So be prepared for that video to come out in a few days. So if that's it, before we leave, as always, we want to remind you to do what?
Protect your throne.
Bye.